Dijonai, how come every time there's a foul, a questionable foul, a flagrant foul, a smack across the face, a fingernail in the eye?
The unrivaled league is erupting with turmoil. In a jaw-dropping moment, Dijonai Carrington slaps Kate Martin mid-game, an unexpected and blatant foul that has left both fans and competitors stunned. With Caitlin out of reach, Dijonai directs her aggression toward Kate, igniting chaos on the court.
What really happened here, man, with Dijonai. Okay. Nice pass. Oh, man. So you're going to help her up right after you clobber her like that, right? You're going to help her up after you clobber her like, didn't even look at her. Oh, she's so shady.
Dijonai Carrington is once again grabbing headlines for all the wrong reasons, sparking debates about her notorious reputation for playing aggressively. This time, her focus shifted to none other than Kate Martin, who has become the latest casualty of Carrington's contentious strategies.
If she can't get to Caitlin, she'll just settle for Kate.
As Martin advanced past Carrington, the defender executed what seemed like an overly aggressive maneuver. Instead of challenging the ball within the bounds of fair play, Carrington swung a dubious arm toward Martin, making contact in a manner that sent the Iowa standout sprawling to the ground. The impact of the foul left Martin visibly distressed, clutching her side as officials promptly signaled the play and rushed to evaluate the situation.
Being reported that Kate Martin gets annoyed over Dijonai Carrington's physical defense during unrivaled. WNBA standout Kate Martin didn't seem to appreciate the physical defense Dijonai Carrington played on her during unrivaled league. And I'm telling y'all right now, we already know how she coming, bruh. She's very handsy with her style of play, and she's not the only one. It's a lot of ladies in this league that play like that.
Replay footage underscored the gravity of the incident. The arm movement wasn't accidental. It seemed deliberate, sparking accusations that Carrington had reverted to her previous aggressive playing style to secure an advantage. Martin, renowned for her toughness and sportsmanship, was left lying on the court, requiring assistance to regain her footing. Fortunately, after a brief evaluation, she was able to continue playing, though the effects of the moment lingered.
She has hurt her nose again. I don't know if it's broken or not, but I think Kate's just toughness, resiliency, and leadership is the biggest thing. And I mean, you see it, like, Kate's a pro player. Like, you see her game, she's hitting fadeaway jump shots, she's going at people.
Additionally, Kate has injured her nose once more. Whether it's broken remains unclear, but Kate's toughness, resilience, and leadership are undeniably her greatest strengths. You can see it in her gameplay. She's a seasoned professional sinking fadeaway jump shots and fiercely challenging her opponents. If you're familiar with Dijonai Carrington's history, you know she has a notorious reputation for dirty tactics. True to form, Carrington's latest on-court actions have once again taken center stage, sparking widespread outrage. Last season, Dijonai Carrington's questionable tactics were on full display during a heated matchup against Caitlin Clark, an incident that remains one of the most discussed controversies in WNBA history.
WNBA Twitter is currently crashing out over Black Eye Gate. I'm sure we've seen by now this play where Dijonai Carrington pokes Caitlin Clark in the eye. And after seeing this angle, so many people are saying that it was intentional, right? Dijonai goes up to steal the ball, and when she comes down, her hand goes like this, straight into Caitlin's eye. Do I think that this was a reckless play? Yes. Do I think that she did it with the intent to hurt Caitlin Clark? No. Do I think it should have been called a foul?
Carrington's notorious eye poke not only left Clark sporting a noticeable black eye, but also ignited a whirlwind of criticism throughout the league. Fans and analysts alike condemned the brazen act, with Indiana Fever supporters at the forefront, branding Carrington as a dirty player. For many, that moment wasn't merely a momentary lapse in judgment, but a pivotal instance that showcased her readiness to push the limits. Now, following her recent confrontation with Kate Martin, these allegations feel more substantiated than ever as Carrington appears intent on cementing the very reputation she has long sought to distance herself from.
It did not stop one Dijonai Carrington. Of course, she's the person that multiple times had, egregious altercations with Caitlin Clark last year, including the eye poke, the eye gouge, the eye scoop out of Caitlin Clark's head, heard round the world last year, as well as whatever that ridiculous flop and gyration was during one of those games.
The matchup against Martin ignited tension from the very beginning. The Iowa star was unstoppable, her swift movements and accurate shooting overwhelming Carrington. Martin was a constant presence on the court, effortlessly slicing through defenses, orchestrating plays, and maintaining her composure under intense pressure.
Here, as the camera pans over, she reaches in and swipes at the ball, but how hard are you going to do it exactly? You trying to break somebody's arm? Look at that. Look at that. Boom. You know, it's the small things that ain't great.
What made the incident even more striking was the composure Martin exhibited in stark contrast to Carrington's aggression. Recently stepping into a more prominent role and receiving increased playing time, Martin demonstrated precisely why she has earned the trust of her coaches and teammates. While Carrington appeared eager to unsettle her opponent, Martin remained calm, maintaining her focus and consistently performing at a high level. Her ability to stay unfazed despite Carrington's provocations further solidified the perception that Martin is swiftly emerging as one of the league's most promising talents.
What are we doing? We trying to break an arm now on top of it? This person just says it. It's almost assault. Good grief. That looked like break my arm, bro.
Dijonai Carrington's attempt to disrupt Martin wasn't just ineffective, it seemed like an admission of frustration. Throughout the game, Martin showcased her expanding skill set, executing plays with precision, making intelligent decisions, and sinking crucial shots when it mattered most. Despite Carrington's efforts, she couldn't contain Martin, and the foul only highlighted the disparity in their performances. For fans watching, it was evident that Carrington's actions reflected a player struggling to adapt to an opponent who was simply outperforming her. This isn't the first time Carrington has employed such tactics. Known for her fiery demeanor on the court, her approach often treads the fine line between competitive and reckless.
You know, I love talking about Caitlin Clark on this show, and she participated in some kind of LPGA Pro-Am, drew monster crowds. There's pictures of just like everybody trying to get an autograph with Caitlin Clark.
Outrageous criticism, media frenzy, and a string of headlines. It's safe to say that Caitlin Clark has been at the center of controversy over the past few months. In a move that caught everyone off guard, Clark struck a headline-making deal with the LPGA, calling her WNBA legacy into question and sparking debates about loyalty, fame, and ambition.
One more key photo.
Caitlin, great to meet you. Looking forward to the afternoon together. Okay, go. Come on.
Hug it out. Squeeze in close together. We'll get one right here, please.
Speaking of which, the Caitlin Clark effect is starting to take shape. After delivering what could be the best rookie season in NBA history, she made the unexpected move to female golf, where she's now being heralded as the next big thing. But how did Clark manage to conquer 2 worlds in just 8 months? And why are critics calling her success a betrayal of women's basketball? In this video, we'll break down everything from Caitlin Clark's new deal to the backlash and everything surrounding her controversial journey. But before we dive in, let's take a trip down memory lane. At the start of the year, the Caitlin Clark effect was undeniable. Even before she set foot on a WNBA court, ticket sales for every platform skyrocketed by over 90% once she declared for the draft. Her performance in the league has been nothing short of outstanding. In her rookie season with the Indiana Fever, she averaged 19 points per game, scoring at least 13 points in 29 of her 36 games this year. What's even more surprising are her record-breaking feats, becoming the first player in WNBA history to hit over 100 three-point shots and rack up 300 assists in a single season. At this point, NBA analysts were already calling her a generational talent, but Clark's influence wasn't just reflected in the numbers, it was in the stands as well. Every week, Fever games turned into must-watch events, with fans traveling from across the country to see her play. She brought an entirely new audience to the WNBA. Meanwhile, Reese wasn't just riding the wave of hype, she was making her own history, becoming the first rookie to record an all-star game, double-double, the first WNBA player to achieve back-to-back 20-rebound games, and pulling off an impressive 24 double-doubles in her rookie season. While others are still trying to catch up, Reese is reshaping the game, and Clark has done more than just elevate the league's profile. However, while Clark was drawing record crowds, boosting TV ratings, and breathing new life into women's basketball, the WNBA failed to make her the face of the league. As a result, Caitlin Clark is now taking her talents and fan base elsewhere. Enter her debut at an LPGA Pro-Am, which drew bigger crowds than some of the tour's main events. At this point, she's not just rewriting the narrative in basketball, she's also making waves in women's golf. Playing alongside world number 1 Nelly Korda at the Pelican Golf Club's Annika Pro-Am, Clark showed that her influence extends far beyond the basketball court. If anyone thought her dominance was limited to the hardwood, her impressive performance on the greens has now silenced many doubters. When Caitlin Clark stepped onto the Pelican Golf Club course, it was clear this wasn't just another golfer taking their turn. The LPGA capitalized on the moment by pairing Clark with Nelly Korda, a marketing move that spotlighted both players as generational talents. The anticipation was electric, and even the Golf Channel rearranged its programming to cover her live, something unheard of for a Pro-Am event. Meanwhile, Caitlin Clark took the spotlight in Florida, drawing massive crowds, and once again, proving that her star power extends well beyond the basketball court. Alongside Korda, Clark played with tournament host Annika Sorenstam, teeing off at the crack of dawn and launching an early shot into the gallery. Fans were glued to her every move at Pelican Golf Club. The WNBA Rookie of the Year's presence drove ticket sales and boosted media attention for the event. After the round, she was swarmed for autographs, and with an endorsement deal from Gainbridge, the LPGA tournament's sponsor, and a role in a women's leadership summit, it was clear her presence was far from casual. While Clark insists that golf is her escape, her single long-range putt left fans wondering, is she just playing for fun, or is she quietly taking over yet another sport? One thing is clear, the LPGA is thriving on Caitlin Clark's star power in a way the WNBA could only dream of. The media and golf elite couldn't stop singing her praises. 8-time LPGA champion Nelly Korda, who played alongside Clark, had nothing but admiration for her after the game, praising her skills and presence on the course.
It was so amazing. She's so sweet, so nice. It was nice to kind of get to spend some time with her. We've messaged a little on Instagram beforehand, but to get to spend some time with her and to see the influence that she has on people, bringing people out here, and to see how amazing of an influence she is.
The praise didn't stop with Nelly Korda. LPGA Tour Commissioner Jay Monahan was equally blown away, calling Caitlin Clark's performance incredible and applauding her passion for the game. Overall, Clark's presence on the course didn't just spark excitement, it stirred up drama. her growing star power now threatens to overshadow seasoned pros in yet another sport. Is Caitlin Clark the crossover phenom golf never knew it needed? Or is this a sign that women's sports are evolving faster than their leagues can keep up? At this point, it's clear Clark isn't slowing down anytime soon. However, not everyone is cheering for Caitlin Clark's meteoric rise. While Korda and Monahan praised her for uniting fans across sports, insiders in the WNBA are reportedly seething over her crossover success. The LPGA's full-court press to spotlight Clark has left some in the WNBA feeling left behind. Insiders claim league officials are frustrated, not only by the LPGA's success, but also because the WNBA has failed to fully capitalize on Clark's star power. Social media lit up with clips of her swings, and national basketball and golf media flocked to the event. Tournament host and golf legend Annika Sorenstam captured the moment perfectly, highlighting Clark's undeniable impact on the sport. For better or worse, Caitlin Clark is rewriting the playbook for crossover stardom and shaking up women's sports in the process. Despite questions about her commitment to golf, it was revealed she's been swinging clubs since childhood. After making her 2023 debut at the John Deere Classic alongside major champion Zach Johnson, Clark's appearance at the Pelican Golf Club proved one thing: her crossover appeal is no fluke. Meanwhile, WNBA enthusiasts are rumored to feel overshadowed by Clark's dominance on the golf course, despite her record-breaking rookie season on the basketball court. While golf fans flock to see her tee off and whispers of a potential LPGA contract swirl, WNBA fans are left asking why their league hasn't given Clark the same level of attention. Take her Rookie of the Year award, for example. Rather than a grand celebration for her groundbreaking achievements, it was handed out in a nearly empty arena with little fanfare, a baffling move for someone who has done more to elevate the league in one season than most players do in a career. As the buzz around Clark's golf ventures intensifies, the WNBA's failure to capitalize on her star power becomes increasingly obvious. The LPGA has done what the WNBA couldn't. They turned Caitlin Clark's star power into a game changer. But here's the irony. Caitlin's rise should be a win for everyone. She has brought unprecedented attention to women's sports. Yet, while the LPGA embraced the moment and ran with it, the WNBA stayed stuck in its old ways, hesitant, overly cautious, and failing to seize the bold opportunity. When a male NBA or NFL star steps into another sport, social media explodes with hype. This was the WNBA's chance to do the same, celebrate Clark, ride the wave of excitement, and prove they can champion their biggest stars. Instead, they fumbled. Now, the league finds itself at a crossroads, grappling with a familiar issue: how to balance promoting standout players like Clark while still pushing the league forward as a whole. The LPGA made its move and won. Meanwhile, the WNBA risks being left in the dust, overshadowed by a star they didn't know how to celebrate. As Clark juggles her intense off-season training while fielding interest from the rapidly growing 3-on-3 women's basketball league, her crossover into golf raises an even bigger question. Is Caitlin Clark reshaping women's sports? Or is she quietly stepping away from basketball altogether?
The reason why it really, really gets my blood boiling is because it's the exact same thing we see in every other sport. The games where she's not playing have lower viewership.
This has to be a joke. Sue Bird is the last person I'd imagine making these kinds of comments about Caitlin Clark. Seriously, Sue? The epitome of generational talent, someone who's witnessed it all, possesses an in-depth understanding of the game, and navigates the intricate court politics better than anyone else. And now she's behaving this way? Come on!
Some people continue to flip that. Those people, I've seen Stephen A. Smith talk about it. I've seen Shannon Sharp talk about it. And that's what I just don't understand is they work for ESPN. So why are you hating on a product? It's a business you're in. It's not that they can't.
This is getting unbelievable. Sue Bird, the WNBA's very own walking history book, has targeted Caitlin Clark. And trust me, it's igniting a lot of conversations.
And yet, we don't hear anyone on the Celtics and the Mavs. That is not how this works. It's because there's some players that are just so transcendent that the viewership's going to be insane no matter what.
Great.
And it has nothing to do with the other players, the other...
Seriously, we're talking about Sue Bird here. She's essentially basketball royalty, yet out of nowhere, she launches an attack on Caitlin Clark, the young star who has been driving the league's ticket sales and viewership through the roof. Why? Apparently, it's because ticket prices and TV ratings have dipped since Clark's team, the Indiana Fever, were knocked out of the playoffs. But that's hardly shocking. Clark is a true fan magnet, plain and simple.
And to imply that we should just ignore the impact that Caitlin Clark had and still continues to have on this team, this league, this sport. Nah, it doesn't work that way. It doesn't work that way, Sue Bird.
Honestly, just look at the Golden State Valkyries, an expansion team that's already sold out around 18,000 season tickets. Clark doesn't even play for them, yet her influence is undeniable. Still, some people keep twisting the narrative. I've seen Stephen Smith discuss it, I've seen Shannon Sharp talk about it, and here's what I don't understand. They work for ESPN. Why are they attacking a product that's literally part of their business?
Stephen A. and with Shannon, there's an aspect of them like defending their stances on her. Like, we were right about Caitlin and this is our defense. And I still think there's something twisted there because nobody ever said.
It's not that they can't express their opinions, but Sue didn't just mention it and move on. Oh no, she went all out, even pulling Stephen A. and Shannon Sharp into the fray. And let's be honest, those two are renowned for their brutally honest takes on everything. So, what exactly is Sue Bird upset about? Is it Stephen A. and Shannon Sharp calling it as they see it? It's not even like they're wrong.
I don't know how you explain, like, honestly, look at the Golden State Valkyries. It's an expansion team. They've already sold out, I think it's 18,000 season tickets. Caitlin doesn't play there. And yet some people continue to flip that. Those people, I've seen Stephen A. Smith talk about it. I've seen Shannon Sharp talk about it. And that's what I just don't understand is they work for ESPN. So why are you hating on a product? It's a business you're in. It's not that they can't.
Let's dive into the entire Bird versus Clark drama for a moment. Could this be stemming from bitterness? Let's be honest. Caitlin Clark skyrocketed to become the face of women's basketball almost overnight. She's drawing massive crowds and achieving viewership numbers like no one else ever has. But then Sue steps in, casting shade on anyone who dares to acknowledge the obvious. The WNBA is struggling to keep pace without Clark on the court.
Sue Bird calls out ESPN hosts for, quote, hating on WNBA playoff ratings after Caitlin Clark's exit. You say, what? Why? Why, y'all? Really? This is where we have to go?
The WNBA tries to portray its achievements as the product of collective advancement. But let's be honest, is Caitlin Clark truly propelling the league forward? Without her, TV ratings drop, ticket sales plunge, and merchandise revenue disappears. The league should be going above and beyond to keep her satisfied, instead of clinging to outdated pay structures that scream, "We don't truly value you." Fans aren't oblivious to this nonsense. Social media is inundated with demands for change. People are highlighting the absurdity of her salary relative to her impact. It's not just a matter of fairness, it's a business issue. You don't underpay the individual who is vital to your survival. That's not only poor optics, it's poor math. Yet, the WNBA seems too busy celebrating minor growth to realize they're engaging in a risky strategy. If they don't evolve, they risk losing not only Clark, but also the entire momentum she has built. Talented players like her are rare, They're once-in-a-generation athletes who can transform a sport. If the WNBA fails to find a way to compensate her appropriately, don't be shocked if other leagues or opportunities come her way.
It's been interesting because since your article dropped, I gotta say, it has got all the buzz. If you are on X, if you're on Instagram, TikTok for the young kids, you know that Caitlin Clark is the Time Athlete of the Year. How has your 24 hours been since the articles dropped?
It's been awesome, and just the reaction. Obviously, people so excited not only about women's basketball, but about women's sports, and how excited and deserving, not only myself, but just women's sports as a whole.
Caitlin Clark just became the first WNBA player to claim Time's Athlete of the Year. But not everyone is joining the celebration. It's become increasingly clear she has her share of haters, from Cheryl Swoopes, Aja Wilson, to Nalissa Smith, Diana Taurasi, and sadly, the list doesn't end there.
Cheryl, I'll start with you. What's your reaction to Caitlin Clark winning Time Magazine Athlete of the Year?
I don't think I'm surprised. I'm curious to know who the other candidates were.
In a twist that's both startling and yet oddly predictable, Cheryl Swoopes, four-time WNBA champion and now Clark's most outspoken critic, had plenty to say about the athlete's recent win. In today's segment, we'll break down the controversy, examine the backlash, and uncover the unexpected way Clark is handling it all. While Clark had the perfect moment to fire back, she chose a different route, leaving everyone utterly speechless. Here's why her response is a masterclass in grace and leadership.
And I've grown up a huge women's sports fan, whether it was basketball, whether it was soccer, whether it was volleyball, you go down the list. Like, I grew up loving it and watching it, so it's pretty special. Like, it doesn't really feel real that I get to be here, but an amazing honor.
Imagine this: Caitlin Clark riding high after earning Time Athlete of the Year. Yet not everyone's raising a glass. Enter Cheryl Swoopes, former WNBA superstar turned unforeseen critic, stirring up drama on the Gills Arena podcast.
The fact that that's the very first WNBA player to ever win Time Magazine Athlete of the Year is pretty special. And my question is, like the criteria, is it based off of her performance on the court, which, yeah, she had a great year, or is it more about the impact that she had on the game this season?
Rather than praising Clark, Swoopes launches into a full-on tirade, openly challenging the very standards used to grant Clark her title. "I'm trying to understand what the criteria is," she says, her voice laced with disbelief. And she doesn't stop there. Swoopes rattles off a list of other contenders she believes should have earned the honor instead. The whole thing feels like a slow-motion train wreck, leaving fans and analysts alike puzzled and asking what's really at play.
This is just probably just the impact of the sport, a little bit of it's a little bit of everything, right? So,
yeah, I mean,
when you think about, you just think about athletes of this year.
Yeah.
It's her, the swimmer.
What swimmer?
For Olympics.
Katie Ledecky.
Her performance.
Shit, you know, put Simone Biles back in there.
You can put her back in there. Probably LeBron from his Olympics.
As we delve further into Swoopes' remarks, a pattern starts to form. This isn't her first time taking aim at Clark. When Clark shattered the NCAA scoring record, Swoopes was quick to downplay it, questioning whether the accomplishment was all that remarkable given how much the game has evolved since the original milestone was set.
Put Aja Wilson in there.
That was just basketball.
So that's what I'm saying. Was it just the performance on the court, or
it's global? I think it's everything.
Yeah.
It's everything.
What about Wilson? She demands, leaving everyone listening in stunned silence. Is this just a careless slip, or is there something more simmering beneath the surface? Swoopes' outburst lays bare a deeper struggle. It's not only about Clark now, it's the old guard facing off against the new era, tradition clashing with the future of women's basketball. Once the sport's leading figure, Swoopes now watches from the sidelines as Clark captivates a whole new generation of fans.
It just keeps putting a light on the sport for everybody else to eat. And, you know, sometimes, you know, just as athletes, you know, we are competitive by nature. And, you know, we don't like when someone's getting something that we don't think they deserve.
The basketball world is left stunned. Swoopes, once a beacon of inspiration for countless young athletes, including a young Caitlin Clark, now appears bitter and disconnected. Her remarks ignite intense debates online, with fans and players alike taking sides. Yet here's the ironic twist. While Swoopes questions Clark's merit, Clark's star power only intensifies. Her record-breaking performances and swelling fan base speak volumes. The contrast is glaring. One athlete clinging to the past, the other blazing a trail into the future of women's basketball.
Well, it's been a crazy year. It's hard to think about. Like, I was basically just starting my senior year of college at this time last year. And then I graduated. I missed my college graduation, got drafted here in New York City, basically moved right to Indianapolis and basically start like a whole new chapter of your life instantly, and you don't really have much time to adjust. But lucky enough, I had a really great support system and family around, and I'm from the Midwest, so didn't take me too long, but this past year has just been amazing.
How does Clark tackle this sudden wave of criticism? Does she lash out, stoking the flames? Or does she remain poised under pressure? Her approach to this conflict won't just shape her legacy, it could help reshape the entire landscape of women's basketball. Buckle up, because Clark is about to reveal the depths of her character.
It's fun to reflect back and think about all the amazing things that I was able to accomplish and the people that I got to do it with. I think that's what's made it so special is I've had my family with me the whole time, my friends, amazing teammates, amazing coaches, and it wouldn't be possible without all of them, so just really fortunate.
Remember when we said Clark was about to show us what she's made of? Well, her response to the Time Award controversy isn't just surprising, it's genuinely groundbreaking. She's redefining what leadership looks like in women's basketball. While Swoopes cast doubt, Clark continues to smash records and win over fans' hearts. How does she handle the criticism? Does she shoot back? Not at all. Clark takes the high road, and that choice has everyone talking.
The number of Indiana Fever fans I saw in young girls and the way they were lighting up, I mean, you have represented something so special for the sport, but you've drawn eyes to a game that you've always grown up loving. What does that mean to you?
You know, it's kind of hard for me to wrap my head around because I'm so focused and so competitive, and I love the game. I love playing. I love being in front of the fans. But over the course of probably the last two and a half years, it's all kind of changed where, you know, it's hard to get a ticket whether we're at home or whether we're on the road.
In her Time interview, Clark doesn't merely shrug off the controversy. She faces it head on with a level of maturity that's capturing everyone's attention. Caitlin Clark's rise to stardom has been accompanied by a refreshing sense of self-awareness.
A lot of those players in the league that have been really good have been black players. This league has kind of been built on them. The more we can appreciate that, highlight that, talk about that, and then you continue to have brands and companies invest in those players that have made this league incredible, I think it's very important. I have to continue to try to change that. The more we can elevate black women, that's going to be a beautiful thing.
But Clark doesn't stop there. She makes a point of recognizing the legends who laid the groundwork for her success. And guess who she gives credit to? Cheryl Swoopes herself. It's a move that proves Clark isn't just an elite talent on the court. She's a class act off it as well.
Thoughts on Caitlin Clark saying she wants to use her platform to elevate black women in the WNBA have been instrumental, obviously, in building that league to what it is. Okay.
So what's the
Clark's reply? It's more than simply rising above the fray. It's a masterclass in handling criticism with grace, transforming a potentially negative moment into something uplifting. She's not just standing up for her own achievements, She's raising the bar for the entire dialogue surrounding women's basketball.
I remember my first WNBA game, one of the best memories of my childhood, and I think very influential in wanting to be a professional basketball player, wanting to be a great person, having those people to look up to and want to be like one day. So I just try to embody that every single day, and I feel like I have good perspective on, like, basketball isn't my everything. Like, yeah, I love it, and I get to do it, and it's given me a lot of really great opportunities, but at the same time, you know, win or loss, I feel like I try to be the same person.
The contrast between Clark's approach and Swoopes' remarks couldn't be more stark. While Swoopes questions and criticizes, Clark chooses to celebrate and uplift. This strategy isn't just winning her new fans, it's quieting her critics in the most impactful way possible. Don't mistake Clark's kindness for weakness, though. Her words carry real weight, and her actions speak volumes. She's showing that you don't have to tear others down to elevate yourself. In fact, by paying tribute to those who came before her, Clark is securing her own legacy in basketball history.
Know how you feel or how you respond to some of those criticisms when you have to deal with something that it's really not your problem. Like, I feel like it's them looking in a mirror a little bit, but it still comes down on your shoulders.
I feel like I always have had really good perspective on everything that's kind of happened in my life, whether that's been good, whether that's been bad. And then obviously coming to the WNBA, like I've said, I feel like I've earned every single thing that's happened to me over the course of my career.
As the controversy fades, one truth stands out. Clark's handling of the situation has transformed what could have been a divisive episode into a moment of unity for women's basketball. She's demonstrated that it's possible to be both a fierce competitor on the court and a gracious leader off it. But the story doesn't end here. Clark's poised response has paved the way for a much broader conversation. How will the rest of the basketball community react to this display of sportsmanship and class? Stay tuned, because the reactions are about to roll in, and they may just surprise you.
But also, I grew up a fan of this league from a very young age. Like, my favorite player was Maya Moore. Like, I know what this league was about. And like I said, like, it's only been around 25 plus years, so I know there's been so many amazing black women that have been in this league, and continuing to uplift them, I think, is very important, and that's something I'm very aware of. And like I said, like, I try to just be real and authentic and, you know, share my truth, and I think that's very easy for me. Like, I'm very comfortable in my own skin, and that's kind of been how it is my entire life.
Clark's triumph and Swoopes' critique didn't just grab headlines. They sparked a wildfire of debate across the basketball landscape. Opinions are swirling at lightning speed, faster than one of Clark's signature three-pointers, and everyone wants their say. Let's break down the reactions. On Clark's side, a whole army of supporters has turned up. Fans are flooding social media with admiration for the rising star, applauding her poise under pressure and calling out Swoopes for what they view as a bitter backlash. As one fan tweeted, Clark's response shows she's already a legend in the making. Swoopes could learn a thing or two about sportsmanship.
And you'll never be able to make everyone happy, and someone that knows that at the age of 22, like, let's go.
I mean, I think I have good perspective on that, and like I said in the article, which turned out amazing, I thought it was great. I said I feel like one of my best skills is just blocking things out. Like, I don't really, the only opinions I really care about are the people that I love, my teammates, my coaches, the people inside of our locker room, the people that I see every single day, and I know have my best interests at heart too.
How will all this drama shape Clark's future in the WNBA? That's the million-dollar question. Some believe the controversy might heap extra pressure on her next season. Others argue it's only adding fuel to her competitive fire, potentially setting the stage for a dominant sophomore year and maybe even an MVP run. But here's what nobody can dispute. Clark's influence is undeniable. WNBA ticket sales are soaring, and television ratings for women's college basketball have never been higher. Even viewers who've never followed the women's game are tuning in just to watch Clark play. The numbers don't lie. Clark isn't merely a player, she's a phenomenon, and she's redefining the landscape of the sport.
I'm just scratching the surface of the things I want to accomplish, and, you know, I'm 22, I'm still figuring out life, I'm still figuring out where everything's going to go, and You know, I love basketball, and basketball has brought me so many amazing things, and that will continue to be probably my first passion and everything that I enjoy. And hopefully once basketball ends, I can still find things that I'm really passionate about and can do. Hopefully be an owner of a sports team one day, or open a restaurant. I don't know. Something fun. A little less stressful, maybe. Maybe a coffee shop or something. I don't know.
Clark's impact isn't just about one award or one controversy. It's about the future of the game. While some question the criteria behind her Time Athlete of the Year win, Clark's response, acknowledging the greats who came before her, even Cheryl Swoopes, has been a masterclass in grace and leadership. Instead of firing back, she's elevating the conversation. Her style of play, highlighted by long-range shooting and raw emotion, is inspiring young athletes to pick up a basketball and believe in their own potential. Fans are tuning in like never before, and ticket sales and TV ratings reflect her growing influence. Clark's authenticity off the court, making time for fans and remembering what it's like to be the kid in the crowd, resonates on a personal level. This isn't just about Clark and Swoopes, it's about the entire trajectory of women's basketball. The sport stands at a crossroads, balancing respect for its legends with the rise of new stars who are redefining what's possible. Clark's story is bringing more attention, more debate, and more excitement to the WNBA. She's not merely breaking records, she's reshaping perceptions, inspiring a new generation, and turning the spotlight onto women's basketball like never before. As we watch Clark's journey unfold, it's clear the game is evolving before our eyes. Her rise signals a new era, one in which women's sports command center stage and future players dream even bigger. The sport will never be the same, and that's exactly the point.
This Nike billboard honors the all-time NCAA Division I scoring leader. I love that.
Nike has finally reached out to Caitlin Clark with a substantial apology, signaling a strategic move that goes far beyond merely adding a banner or placing a prominent advertisement in an arena. For months, fans have been left wondering why Nike, the world's leading sports brand, remained silent about its most promising young star. Their prolonged silence was nothing short of deafening. With Adidas now stepping in with a lucrative offer, Nike appears to be urgently addressing the situation to secure Clark's allegiance. The pressing question is whether Nike's apology is heartfelt or simply a reactive measure to prevent losing Clark to a competitor. This unfolding drama not only highlights the fierce competition within the sports apparel industry, but also sets the stage for Clark's potential dominance in the WNBA.
Nike struck absolute gold when they signed Caitlin Clark to an 8-year, $28 million endorsement deal. So why in the world?
Caitlin Clark, women's basketball's breakout star, had an extraordinary season. She propelled her team to new heights, shattered multiple records, and captivated audiences with her electrifying play style, establishing herself not just as a player, but as a true game changer. With Nike securing her with a substantial contract, expectations soared that her first playoff game would become the most watched WNBA playoff event since 2000, potentially drawing 1.84 million viewers. However, reality fell short of these lofty expectations.
And with that, Nike has not done one thing to promote her. We have not seen any commercials, we have not seen any ads, we have not seen any Caitlin Clark merchandise, and we for sure as hell have not seen any Caitlin Clark.
For months, Nike did little to promote Caitlin Clark. There were no major shoe releases, campaigns, or significant advertisements, leaving fans puzzled by the brand's silence. This was starkly different from Nike's robust support when LeBron James entered the NBA, complete with signature shoes and nationwide billboards. Meanwhile, Adidas seized the opportunity. Rumors emerged that Adidas was ready to offer Clark a $30 million deal, positioning her as the face of women's basketball, much like LeBron for men's. Adidas wasn't willing to let Nike's oversight continue without capitalizing on Clark's rising prominence. So, what happened next? After months of neglect, Nike finally acted by displaying a massive banner of Clark at the Indiana Fever Arena. This grand gesture seemed less like a celebration and more like damage control to prevent her from moving to Adidas. Fans doubted its sincerity, viewing it as a reactive measure rather than genuine support. Nike had ample time to promote Clark, but waited until Adidas showed interest, appearing to panic at the threat of losing her. Clark didn't passively accept Nike's sudden attention. She attended Nike's event and delivered a powerful speech about the future of women's basketball, emphasizing the sport's growth, increasing viewership, and the importance of national television coverage. Her upcoming signature shoe, modeled after Kobe Bryant's legendary line, signifies more than personal achievement. It represents Nike's attempt to finally invest in women's basketball. However, the delay has left fans skeptical about Nike's true intentions. Nike has a history of prioritizing male athletes over female counterparts, evident in their treatment of LeBron James and Kevin Durant compared to Serena Williams or Diana Taurasi. If Clark were a man, Nike would have undoubtedly invested in her from the start. This disparity suggests Nike was more concerned about losing a lucrative partnership than genuinely supporting her. Although Nike's recent actions are a step forward, they seem too little, too late. Adidas has already established itself as a brand that truly supports women's sports, making a substantial investment in Clark. The battle now hinges on whether Nike can regain Clark's trust or if Adidas will secure her allegiance permanently. Let's not forget other major brands like Under Armour and Puma are after her as well. Some fans would also love to see Clark release her own sporting goods brands. Clark is not just a phenomenal player, but a trailblazer advocating for the growth of women's basketball. Her influence extends beyond the court, inspiring young girls and pushing for greater investment and recognition of the sport. Signature shoes symbolize an athlete's star power and the brand's commitment. LeBron James's signature shoe marked Nike's full investment in him, and Clark's shoe has the potential to do the same for women's basketball. However, Nike's delay has allowed Adidas to gain an advantage, positioning themselves as the true supporters of the sport. This conflict between Nike and Adidas highlights a broader shift in the sportswear industry's approach to women's sports. Historically overlooked, women's basketball is now recognized as a significant and profitable market, thanks to athletes like Clark. Whether Nike's apology is sincere or merely strategic, it indicates a changing landscape where supporting female athletes is becoming essential. Caitlin Clark is more than a basketball player. She is reshaping the game both on and off the court. Her decision to stay with Nike or move to Adidas will have profound implications for the future of women's sports. Brands are finally recognizing her immense value, and their support will influence the trajectory of women's basketball.